Your skin instructor's tip of the week. If your client says everything burns my skin, your first thought should not be actives, it should be barrier. A compromised skin barrier doesn't mean weak skin. It means skin that's doing its best without the right support. Before you reach for exfoliation, acids, or stronger treatments, pause and ask yourself if this skin can actually handle it. Barrier repair is not a trend, it's foundational. When the barrier is healthy, everything else works better.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Skin Instructors. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Jolie.
And today we're talking about something that shows up in nearly every treatment room, whether we realize it or not. And that's the skin barrier. We're going to expand upon what we learned last week. And I'm so excited for this topic.
I am too. This is one of those topics that explains so much once you truly understand it. Sensitivity, acne, inflammation, dehydration, premature aging, even why results stall.
So today we're going to break it all down. What the skin barrier actually is, how it works, how it gets damaged, and how to repair it correctly without making things worse.
All right, so let's start with those basics. When we talk about the skin barrier, we're mainly referring to the stratum corneum, the outermost layer of the epidermis.
Right. And the easiest way to understand it is it's the classic brick-and-mortar analogy. Those corneocytes are the bricks, and the lipids are the mortar holding everything together.
Yeah, I love that because those lipids are critical. We're talking ceramides and cholesterol and fatty acids, ideally in a very specific ratio. And when that ratio is off, that wall is becoming leaky.
Right. And that leakiness is what we clinically see as dehydration, sensitivity, inflammation, and increased reactivity. So the skin barrier has two major jobs. First, it keeps water in. And second, it keeps irritants, bacteria, allergens, and even pollutants out.
Yep. When the barrier is intact, the skin can regulate itself, hydration levels stay balanced, inflammation stays lower, and the skin responds much better to treatments.
And when the skin barrier is compromised, unfortunately, we get what's called increased transepidermal water loss, and that skin is going to lose water a lot faster than it can be replaced.
Yeah, and once that starts happening, the skin's going to become more vulnerable. So things penetrate it faster, nerves are more exposed, and suddenly products that were once fine are starting to sting. So barrier damage doesn't happen overnight, and it usually isn't caused by just one thing.
So over-exfoliation is going to be a big one. I've maybe done this once or twice. If you're using too many acids, too many exfoliating cleansers, too many devices, or stacking everything together, whether it be all of the products, all of the treatments, or just even stacking treatments too close together, that can be really disruptive.
Absolutely. And another major contributor to that is improper product use at home. Using professional strength products too frequently, mixing incompatible actives, or following aggressive routines found online can really start affecting that barrier.
Another one would be environmental stress. That's going to play a role here too. So right now we're dealing with cold weather, dry air, even wind, sun exposure, pollution, frequent hand washing, or like face masks. Those all can really play a role in disrupting the skin barrier.
Absolutely. And we can't forget internal factors. So stress, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, medications, and certain skin conditions can all impact that barrier integrity.
Yeah, when we're looking for signs of a compromised skin barrier, I would say one of the biggest myths out there is that you're going to notice a dry looking skin. And that a lot of people think is like the major sign of a disrupted skin barrier. And that's just not true.
Yeah, compromised skin barrier can be oily, acneic, red, tight, shiny, flaky, or burning.
So if you have a client who's saying that their products are suddenly burning, maybe their makeup won't sit right, or their skin feels super, super tight, even though it's oily, those are going to be your major red flags with your client that something's wrong with their skin barrier.
Yeah, and if treatments stop delivering results, that's often a barrier issue, not a product failure. So you need to pay attention to how your client's skin's responding. So some things that we can do to start repairing the barrier is it starts with one word: simplify.
Yeah, and that can be really hard for you and your clients to do, but this is not the time for aggressive actives, exfoliation, or pushing through. You have to remove the stressors first. I feel like one thing that I remember very vividly at Aveda is no matter what, if someone's coming in with what they termed as like fire skin, you put the fire out and then
Yeah.
you move on to everything else. And this is the same concept. You have to remove those stressors first.
Yeah, absolutely. That just took me back, the fire. Oh my gosh.
Get the fire out.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So things like gentle cleansing and barrier supportive moisturizers, calming ingredients should be the first priority.
This is exactly what I did it's been like a month or two now when I disrupted my skin barrier and I exfoliated the crap out of my skin. And then I really had to fight tooth and nail to get my skin barrier back intact. But I just cut all of my actives out. I put that fire out, focus on a gentle, calming cleanser. I didn't even use like my toner pads. I just did my cleanser, my antioxidant, a nice, heavy, rich, calming moisturizer, and of course, SPF. And it really did help. I would say with moisturizers, looking for a formulation that has a good balance of ceramides, cholesterol, fatty acids, and humectants, along with soothing agents, that's going to really help to rebuild that lipid matrix. My favorite is triple lipid, of course, for that. But
Absolutely.
there's some amazing products out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And less is more. Fewer products, fewer steps, and more consistency is what's going to be key here.
Bingo. And if you have a client coming in who you're noticing that disrupted skin barrier, you're working with them in the treatment room, this could mean that you're going to have to adjust your protocols, and that is totally fine. They're
Mhm.
still going to love how their skin looks, feels. You may need to delay any kind of peels or lasers. If you have an aggressive modality, today is not the day to be doing this.
Yeah, barrier repair is a treatment, so supporting the skin first is going to allow you to get better results later with fewer complications.
And then once that skin barrier is restored, the skin will be able to tolerate those actives better, heal faster, and respond more predictable.
Yeah. Client education is going to be huge here because many clients think tingling means something's working, which I get that. I've been there in the past. So, yeah.
Yeah, but just remind them that discomfort's not a requirement for results. And, sometimes I have to remind myself of that too. But truly healthy skin should be comfortable skin.
Yeah. And when clients understand the why, compliance is going to improve dramatically. Personally, I have been doing our Acne Academy protocol, and we started out kind of just building up the skin barrier. And I don't know if my barrier was necessarily like super damaged,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Disrupted.
disrupted. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I will say that really changed it up for me because it brought so much of my inflammation down. And I ended up having such a nice like glow from it when I was feeling really dull beforehand. And it's made my treatments and my products afterwards work so well. But it's made the biggest difference for me. And any client that I have now going forward who is coming in with acne, and maybe it's my first time seeing them, or maybe I've been seeing them for a bit and I just need to restart it. Focusing on their barrier health first is going to be key before I start going into all their actives and retinols and peels for
Yeah.
that acne.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I hope you were able to take away some verbiage that'll be helpful for when you experience some compromised skin barrier with your clients.
And if this episode helped you better understand the skin barrier, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes.
And share it with a fellow esthetician or skincare lover who might be unknowingly sabotaging their skin like me.
And as always,
don't hesitate to educate.